The dark 11th hour draws on and sees us sold to every evil power we fought against of old. Rebellion, rapine, hate, oppression, wrong and greed are loosened to rule our fate by England's act and deed. The faith in which we stand, the laws we made and guard, our honour, lives and land are given for reward. To murder done by night, to treason taught by day, to folly, sloth and spite, and we are thrust away. The blood our fathers spilt, our love, our toils, our pains, are counted us for guilt and only bind our chains. Before an empire's eyes, the traitor claims his price. What need of further lies? We are the sacrifice. We ask no more than leave to reap where we had sown, through good and ill to cleave to our own flag and throne. Now England's shot and steel beneath that flag must show how loyal hearts should kneel to England's oldest foe. We know the war's prepared on every peaceful home. We know the hell's declared for such as served not Rome. The terror, threats and dread in market, hearth and field. We know when all is said, we perish if we yield. Believe we dare not boast. Believe we do not fear. We stand to pay the cost in all that men hold dear. What answer from the north? One law, one land, one throne. If England drives us forth, we shall not fall alone.
Well, good evening. Good evening to another Monday evening at Restore UK. And we're here again this evening, and you would be forgiven for thinking that our politicians don't care. You would be forgiven for thinking that, our politicians, they're actually in on what is happening right now, because they don't seem to be doing anything. Today on the news, we hear that the DUP, they didn't attend a North-South institution meeting. It was a meeting set up by Nicola Mallon, and the DUP, they didn't attend. But they didn't attend, and then they gave reason that they didn't attend because they had no one available to attend. When in reality, the DUP right now should be making the only meaningful proactive protest that can be made against this protocol that if we don't have it removed, well, Northern Ireland as part of the United Kingdom will be incrementally pushed into this concept called a new Ireland. But when you scratch the surface, people, this isn't the new Ireland. This is globalization in all its forms. And tonight, I've titled this screen tonight, "Respective Fools and Their Way of Life Will Soon Be Parted." And who are those respective fools? You see the leaders of the political parties, Arlene Foster being one, Michelle O'Neill on the Sinn Féin side of things being another. And why is it that you ask, why do I say that? Because you see, right now, Arlene Foster won't make the only meaningful proactive protest that can be made against this protocol. And right now, as we speak, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again, and I'm just going to read from a piece from a man that had written this morning just about this thing that I've been talking about quite a few times over the course of the last few weeks. And it's how that our trade is being reorientated towards the Southern Ireland. And what's actually happening, instead of the trade that we normally done with the rest of the United Kingdom, a lot of those supply lines have been reorientated and are now being supplied by Southern Ireland, and they're being supplied by the EU. And once that trade is gone, it'll be lost and gone forever. This damage will be irreparable. But meantime, what is it that our politicians are doing? What is it that our DUP is doing? Well, you see, they're in talking shops. They're, you hear the odd word from them with reference, how bad this is, but that's all you hear. And then I wonder why. I just wonder why that they won't make the only meaningful proactive protest. Because let's face it, we have been taken out of the United Kingdom illegally against their will. We voted in the Brexit referendum, and I sound like a broken record when I say this, but we voted in the Brexit referendum. 17.4 plus million people voted to leave the EU, and seemingly Northern Ireland isn't allowed to reap the benefits of that vote, to reap the benefits of the Brexit vote, to get out of the EU. And instead of us leaving the EU, well, we are thrust into it, whilst England, Scotland and Wales are treated in a completely different way. So let's face it, our politicians, the DUP, the political leaders of British unionism here in Northern Ireland, they have absolutely every right to make whatever meaningful proactive protest that is available to them, and they just won't make it. And the only meaningful proactive protest that they can make right now is to state quite clearly, not to be faffing around, to be saying that, look, we won't be part of any north-south bodies. We won't be part of any talking to Dublin. We won't be part of any talking to the EU. We won't be part of anything that flows from the Belfast Agreement until such times as British unionists here in Northern Ireland are respected and they're returned to being first-class citizens, and they're not discriminated against the way that we are being discriminated against right now. And our DUP are the only political party right now that can make that meaningful proactive protest. And for every day that they don't, Northern Ireland is being diminished. I'm just going to read from a piece that I read earlier on there, and it was from a man called Dr. Edward Cook. Now, some people, they like what Edward writes, some people don't. I'll pick and choose what it is that I like that I like of Edward's writings. But there's one thing absolutely certain: he is right when he has written exactly this. So he says the UK markets are lost at an alarming rate. On the 16th of April, John Campbell of the BBC told us that cross-border trade in Ireland has increased dramatically in 2021. Whilst unionist MLAs faff about, have debates, instigate petitions, endorse court cases, the economic damage is being done. 108 days after the EU border posts come into being, day and daily economic unification between NI and the ROI grows, and our unionist MLAs seem comatose to do any, and they're not doing anything that would reverse the process. By the summer, new Irish trade markets will have been created. Old Great Britain markets will have been lost, and our unionist MLAs, by their apathy, will have secured economic union with the Republic of Ireland and NI. Ireland's Central Statistics Office, CSO, suggests that in February, the value of exports from Northern Ireland to the Republic of Ireland almost doubled, and compared to the same month last year. This is a direct result of the NI protocol. As our unionist MLAs draw their salaries, NI wholesalers and retailers are looking for new markets. They rose from 125.9 million to 245.9 million. The Republic's exports to NI were up almost 40%, from 146 million to 201 million. So what you see is a complete reorientation of the trade that we used to do with the rest of the United Kingdom. And meantime, our politicians, they sit in the house in the hill, that corrupt talking shop, and they won't do anything meaningful or proactive in order to save Northern Ireland's place within the rest of the United Kingdom. On a year-to-year basis, NI exports to the Republic of Ireland are up 52%, with trade the other way increasing by 28%. Since the ANI protocol began operating in January, it has become more difficult for business in either part of Ireland to import goods from Great Britain. If Northern Ireland was part of the UK, there should be no difficulty in goods from ANI being traded and exported into Great Britain. So again, official figures showing trade between Northern Ireland and Great Britain are only published on an annual basis. So it may be 2022 before there is a solid data on how Brexit and the Irish Sea border has had an impact on those relationships. By then, the damage will have been done. So this is what's happening before our very eyes, and what are our DUP doing about it? Now, I understand why that it is that they're sort of pretending, let's just say, that whether they didn't have anybody available for this North-South meeting last week, and then there's another one on Wednesday, from my recollection, and Diane Dodds has to, she has to be at it, and I'll be watching very, very carefully to see, does Diane Dodds turn up? And then apparently Edwin Poots has a meeting again with with the Republic of Ireland very, very soon. And again, we'll be watching very, very carefully to see if Edwin Poots goes along and meets these people. I mean, what they need to do, they really need to make it absolutely clear that the British Unionist people in Northern Ireland are being treated like second-class citizens. They're being discriminated against. They've had their democracy removed, and the DUP need to say, well, look, for and on behalf of our electorate, we are making the only meaningful proactive protest that is available to us right now, and that namely being is to withdraw support from absolutely everything that flows from those failed institutions from the Belfast Agreement. That's what they need to do, and they need to do it very, very, look, it's going to happen. It is going to happen where I believe that Stormont will come down. Would they not be better suspending this institution, just suspending it, saying we're not working within it until such times as our rights are respected? Would they not be better doing something quickly before all of this trade is lost in a way that it is totally irreparable? And maybe this is what their game is. Maybe they're allowing this to happen. Maybe this is what the British government, Boris Johnson and Michael Gove, maybe this is what they anticipated. Maybe, are we Hong Kong in waiting? I asked that question before. Has there been a deal done to hand us over? And it's not as if that nationalists or Republicans are winning anything. They're not winning nothing. They're having this handed to them in a plate, and it seems to be that we are it's as if that we don't matter here in Northern Ireland, and yet our own politicians, they won't make that meaningful proactive protest. So there we go, people. This is exactly where we stand, and it is totally unbelievable. And then there's another thing, and again, let's just go back for a moment here. Do we talk about the respective fools and their way of life? Because this is how this goes. I was on a live stream with a lady from the Republic of Ireland just a few days ago. It was last Thursday night, and we had an interesting conversation. And I'm going to cut it and clip it, and we'll get it popped up onto Restore. We'll get it popped up onto the British Unionist People's Voice. And this lady, she says that there's a growing tide of people in the Irish Republic right now. And that growing tide of people in the Irish Republic, what they want is they don't want to be part of the EU. And now there's a conversation which is starting, which is saying, well, what about if we were everybody in these islands were together with the rest of the United Kingdom? And that's a conversation it's a serious conversation, which is starting, in Southern Ireland right now. So there's a lot of people that don't want to be part of the dictatorial Ponzi scheme, which is the EU. Now, here's how this goes. Respective fools and their way of life, what it is they claim to represent, will soon be parted. And if I look at Arlene Foster, or the DUP under Arlene Foster's leadership, well, I see a failure in the making. Totally fail. We will end up consumed within this so-called new Ireland. And we're going to talk about that right now. Because whenever I talk to people in the south, whenever I talk to this lady, just on Thursday evening, I've talked to more people from the south, but what they are saying is that right now in Southern Ireland, ordinary nationalists, live and let live type people, well, they're being treated really unfairly by their own government. And they're talking about this new Ireland. Now, here's the reality, and Sinn Féin are promoting this new Ireland, but it was put to me last week by a guy from the south. It was put to me like this: well, hold on a minute. So in this new Ireland, we're going to make it a good place for British Unionists to come and to be. And right now, British Unionists in Northern Ireland aren't allowed to fly their flag. You know how that happens around the various buildings and whatnot. But whenever they come to this new Ireland, well, we're going to make a place for them whereby, we'll make it accommodating and they can fly their flag. This is the sort of nonsense that is being talked. And then when you go and you look at those people in Southern Ireland right now, in the Republic of Ireland, well, if they fly their flag, well, then they're been told that they're far right and they're fascist and they're racist. You really, really couldn't make this up. So you're not allowed to be Irish in Ireland right now, and seemingly you're not allowed to be British Unionists in Northern Ireland, because if you sit and you listen to the mainstream media, and if you sit and listen to everything that flows from that television, well, if you're a British Unionist, you seem to be you're a criminal to the sounds of things. And then there was a purge against lots of people on Facebook over the past few weeks, where lots and lots of people have been thrown off Facebook and have been restricted. And but they're tarring everyone, and they're saying that everyone are loyalists and everyone is stirring up trouble. When that's not actually the case. I mean, all you have to do to be curtailed or thrown off Facebook these days is for to point out what you see right in front of your very eyes. And what you see right in front of your very eyes right now is corruption to the core, total and utter and outright corruption. And a lot of that corruption is flowing from the house on the hill. That great white elephant just off the Upper Newton Arch Road there, which houses the biggest criminal gang that Europe has ever seen. And that's a fact. I would ask anyone to challenge me on that absolute fact that Stormont houses the biggest criminal gang in Western Europe, and they're still terrorizing people. They're using that institution to terrorize. They're using that institution to try to destroy Northern Ireland, to try to destroy Northern Ireland's place within the United Kingdom. People. There's lots of us. There's lots of us. There's a lot of British Unionists here in Northern Ireland, but they would make you think that you're isolated, that you're on your own, that your voice is a small portion of all the voices in Northern Ireland. Well, that's not the case, because British Unionists are British Unionists, and British Unionists will remain British Unionists. But British Unionists, those same British Unionists, they really, really need to put pressure on their DUP to pull the plug, to suspend until such times as we are treated once again like first-class citizens. So look, at this point, what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to prepare to do something else whenever I come back. So at this point, what I want to do is that I want to play just a short video clip. So bear with me, and I'll be back after the video clip. As people are focusing on young people rioting in Belfast, they really should be focusing on this building here. This building and the institutions that surround it are occupied by the biggest criminal gang in Europe. And that is the elephant in the room. That is the elephant in the room that no one is speaking of right now. This criminal gang occupies a place in where they can destroy Northern Ireland, and where they can use their privileged position to destabilise ordinary people, ordinary citizens in Northern Ireland, whereby they can set back reconciliation for decades. And who is it that holds them there? Who is it that has put them in place? Who is it that stands beside them and ensures that they can stay in place? Well, that's our own DUP. That's our own British unionist politicians that we elected, that we put in power. We're coming down towards a statue of the founding father of Northern Ireland, in the year of our centenary, in the year where we are 100 years old. What is actually happening is that the criminal gang that occupies the house on the hill, they are destroying us. And there's only one meaningful proactive protest that we can make right now. And that's not up to our young people to make that protest. That's not up to young people who have been discriminated against, who have been separated from the rest of the United Kingdom, and who have had their democracy denied because of the threat of violence from this criminal gang. It's not up to the young people to fight this battle. It's up to our own political leaders, and they're failing right now. And it's because of the failure of politics that we find ourselves in this unpalatable situation. So there you go. The criminal gang headquarters just off the Upper Newton Ards Road. And I'm going to sort of say that it doesn't matter why you're a British unionist. It doesn't matter why you're a nationalist. It doesn't matter why you're an ordinary Catholic. I mean, that place is corrupt. That place is directing our policing service, even in a way that the policing service has lost the run of itself. Look at Simon Barron, the chief constable. What has he been doing in the past few weeks? Well, sitting on a Zoom meeting, for example, along with a man called Maguire. That man called Maguire, he murdered the two corporals whenever they drove into the IRA funeral way back. I think it was in 1987, 1988, and around that time. And on the day of the anniversary of the corporals, Simon Barron, he was on a Zoom meeting along with the victim maker on the day of the victim maker's victims. And what added insult to the injury was that when Simon Barron was asked about this, did he not think that it was insensitive? And all he had to say was, it was totally insensitive and I've got it wrong. But no, he didn't. He says that, that he would be meeting these type of people regularly as part of a restorative justice outreach. Well, I would say that that's a thing that the policing should be doing, is they should be liaising with community leaders, but not even an acknowledgement of how insensitive that it was for him to do that on the day of the victim's anniversary. And it's things like that which really brings the whole policing service into question. And then when you see that they're, where they use plastic baton rounds on one section of people, and then they don't on the other section of people. And then we read on this very screen, we read a testament from a PSNI operative who left the force just last year. And he said that even when they're getting in to do searches, well, you see, Republicans would have to be told before they actually go into their communities. And this is all wrong. This is crazy. This is corruption, and this is, where the law has been used in a way where it's only policing against one community. It's totally wrong the way things are going. And who do we blame? Well, we blame the house on the hill. We blame the mechanisms that flowed from the Belfast Agreement. And we were told that the Belfast Agreement, the Good Friday Agreement for others, we were told that it was there to ensure protection for everyone. But then when it comes to it, our own Secretary of State, what does he do? He changes the text of that agreement in order that what could happen was that they could force into place the protocol. So tell me that that's not corruption. Tell me that we aren't being treated like second-class citizens. Tell me that we aren't being discriminated against. And also tell me that our politicians are doing something about it, because they're not. They're not doing anything meaningful or proactive about this. And why is it? Why is it that we have a border right now in the North Channel? Why is it that if under the Belfast Agreement there couldn't be a border, they said, which it didn't actually say that, but this is what they were saying. They says that it couldn't be a border between the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. So why is it acceptable to have a border in the North Channel? There's a lot of people that we cherish our place within the United Kingdom, and we're having this illegally stripped away from us. And no one seems to want to do anything about it. And these people that say that come and join us in a new Ireland, well, if this is the way that they treat us before that we go there, no, thank you. I wouldn't be part of that new Ireland, because at the end of the day, I'm not being respected. My rights are not being respected. And nor are the rights of British Unionists here in Northern Ireland. So let's remind ourselves yet again of why it is that we find ourselves in this position. We find ourselves in this position because that criminal gang that occupies the house on the hill just off the Upper Newton Arch Road, that criminal gang that is using that house and everything that flows from those mechanisms to try to destabilise and to try to destroy Northern Ireland and to try to remove Northern Ireland from the rest of the United Kingdom. That criminal gang, you see, they do so. They do everything with the implied threat of violence, and we learned that just a few weeks ago. Whenever the PSNI had said, well, we couldn't go into a wake of 400 people at the Bobby Story funeral because there would have been widespread violence right across Northern Ireland. We couldn't go and police the COVID guidelines, and yet that criminal gang was part of making those same regulations, which they actually broke. So I'm going to come back and I'll talk more about Stormont, the house on the hill, in just a few moments. But let's remind ourselves of the threats of violence by all and sundry with reference the border, where the border should have been.
What that border is going to look like.
It would involve customs posts, it would involve people in uniform, and it may involve the need, for example, for cameras, physical infrastructure, possibly police presence or an army presence to back it up. The problem with that in the context of Irish politics and history is those things become targets.
Exactly.
If they attempt to put a recognisable border on the island of Ireland, I guarantee, in fact, I know that arrangements are already being made. There'll be violence again.
Now, checks on the border would, I think, allow some people who are a small minority but who still want to carry on violence, would allow them the opportunity to attack border posts or border guards.
The UK government says that it won't put up a border, even if there isn't a deal.
Yeah.
So the EU will insist on a border.
We have to make sure that the interests of the European Union and of the internal market will be preserved.
It'll be a hard border. They will put up checkpoints. They will eventually have to put police to protect customs officers. The police will need the protection of the British Army, and we're back to square one.
It would be my judgment that if there was a hard Brexit and a border with physical structure, I would be very sure that the dissidents would be violently against it.
Even violence could return if that border is put into place in some way.
There is a fear, and I'd have to say that fear has grown more and more over the last few years. We know there's dissident activity. We know they've been recruiting.
All of us built the Good Friday Agreement and a peace process that's now very robust. But Brexit threatens to sunder all of that.
We do not want a guarded border.
Keep history in mind.
There is still women and men that are willing and capable of carrying out acts of armed resistance against the British state.
We have the dissidents on our group who feed off these spectaculars, and there is no doubt that they will attack any type of installation along that border.
In fact, I know that arrangements are already being made There'll be violence again.
Okay, so I just noticed someone here. I'm just going to read this out. The border is where it is because the DUP sold the PUL community a deal on Brexit. Now, Kieran, let's have a word with you. The DUP sold the PUL community the deal on Brexit. Do you not think that people have their own minds? Do you not think that people, whenever they look at the European Union, that what they see is they see a dictatorship? They see Ireland right now, I'm talking about Dublin, they see a vassal. Do you know what a vassal is, Kieran? Well, a vassal is a rule taker with no way of kicking back. And the EU says to Dublin right now, jump, and Dublin says, hi. The EU forced Dublin into threatening, problems over the border. And then what did we have? You just seen it there. We've seen Leo Varadkar talking up the threat of violence. We heard them all talking up the threat of violence. And Kieran, I'm assuming that you're a I don't know, maybe a nationalist, maybe a Republican. Who knows? But do you think, you look at the title on this screen tonight, respective fools and their ways of life will soon be parted. And who was I referring to? Well, I was referring to one of those respective fools being Michelle O'Neill, because the Republican movement right now are leading people like you, Kieran, down a road whereby that Irishness is away, whereby that proclamation that stands in the South. That proclamation talks about the indefeasible right of the Irish people to have ownership of the land. Not anymore, Kieran. The EU owns Ireland, or maybe you're not aware of that, or maybe that you're happy to be dictated to, maybe that you're happy that that's all the way, and maybe that you're happy that the Sinn Féiners are working for themselves right now. They're working to get their feet onto this globalist table, and the people in Ireland right now are totally disgusted with Sinn Féin. So there you go, Kieran, and here you go again. You're up again. If people had their own minds, the tit-for-tat politics in the 6 counties would end. Well, people do have their own minds, and why is it you think that politicians are going a different way, and yet people are out protesting? I'm on this screen telling the DUP to make the only meaningful, proactive protest against this Belfast agreement, which isn't doing anyone any good right now. And something, Kieran, I witnessed that there was riots in the past few weeks there. I witnessed that there was nationalist youth coming out onto the streets. I witnessed that there was same thing again in British Unionist communities. And I don't know what age you are, but certainly, I've lived old enough to be able to see that this should never happen. This is the failure of politics. This is the agitations of people who they want power at any cost, and they don't care what happens to ordinary people. So, Kieran, we'll take no lectures from you in telling people that the DUP sold them something. Catch yourself on, man. Catch yourself on. Anyway, good luck to you. You're welcome to stay and come along and listen. Maybe you might learn something. So there you go. This is what's passing for what people think. The DUP told every one of you that you had to vote for Brexit. It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. So, people, there you go. What you heard there is the threats of violence, and Boris Johnson and Michael Gove, well, they buckled over to those threats of violence, and it's unfortunate that that's what's happening, because right now here in Northern Ireland, it doesn't suit anyone if people are if there's riots, if there's wrecking, if there's ruining, if there's burning. It doesn't suit anyone. I mean, do I understand why people are wanting to do this? Do I understand the frustration of people? Well, absolutely, I do, because people here they're not, they're having their rights taken away. This is 2021, for goodness sake, and we're meant to be living in a time whenever there's meant to be respect and equality for everyone, but not if you're a British Unionist. Not if you're a British Unionist. And these people that's following these idiots in Sinn Féin blindly, maybe Kieran is a Sinn Féiner, but these people that are following the likes of the Sinn Féiners or the SDLPs of this world, do you know, they haven't a clue where they're being led into. I'm just going to say that, they're not going to like where it is that they get to whenever they get there, because where we're all headed isn't a very, very nice place, and it really, really suits no one. So it doesn't. So anyway, let's go back again, and I'm going to look for a little video clip, and I'm going to play a victim story again, and we'll be back again in a second. The numbers are very, very high this evening, and that's great. That's good that the numbers are remaining high. So I'm just about to play a victim story, and this is a man who many, many years later, after having lost his father, this man's still looking justice. And that's how unfair the society has become. And whilst the system turns a blind eye to people like Craig, then you wonder why people are angry. Then you wonder why people look at this cesspit of corruption and they're demanding change, because something has to change, and something has to change very, very soon. So over to Craig.
And you think, did my dad suffer? Was he suffering all that way? Did he suffer for God knows how many hours? Was he lying there, And that's traumatizing as well, to think that what your loved one was just, lying there in agony or whatever. And it wasn't until I got the original inquest through Seth, and in that, the doctor that arrives on the scene describes the scene, and he put to rest that rumour that my dad survived, because he didn't. He instantly died. His injuries caused him to be dead. The doctor runs straight past him because he's dead. Bob is no longer going to be alive much longer. He realises that, so he's doing triage, and he describes a scene, and the next he describes someone in the field, and Pete describes him, and he describes how he goes to them to treat them. There's a nurse with Bob, there's someone comforting my dad, and that was just such a nice thing to know, that people were comforting him even though he passed. The community of Enniskillen are very spiritual, so I can imagine one of them might have said a prayer. It just gives you that touch of comfort that I know what happened. And then you can close that page. There it is, it's answered. He died quickly, he didn't suffer, he didn't, which is, in a funny way, it was a relief, because as soon as I heard that one of them might have survived, it was such a relief to be able to let that go. And now the other things, if police could just give me the ability to let things go, then and put them away and correct that, then my mental health will be much better. Because at the minute, I still get drawn back to that. It's still in the back of the mind.
So here we are in April of 2021, the fourth month away from the start of the year, whenever the protocol was put in place. And here we are losing the trade that we would have done between Northern Ireland and the rest of the United Kingdom, and vice versa, back the other way. We are losing a lot of that trade right now, and we're losing it in a way that it's going to be irreparable. And look, you tell me that the British government, for example, that they don't know that this is happening. They don't see it happening, but they're still permitting it to happen. I mean, really and truly, it needs to be sorted out. And again, as I say, the DUP will have a lot to answer for if they don't make this only meaningful, proactive protest. So there's a reason why that at the minute that the DUP won't come out outright, and they won't actually say that's it. We're not working with North-South institutions, and the reason is that there's a thing called ministerial code. It's ministerial code of practice, and in that ministerial code, I was reading it just a few days ago, and it does actually stipulate that ministers have to work in North-South They also have to work east-west. And you know, that they're sort of bound to having to work for that. But right now, there are circumstances whereby that they say, well, look, our electorate aren't being treated fairly. Our electorate are being discriminated against. Our electorate, we represent our electorate. We will fight tirelessly for our electorate. We will fight meaningfully and proactively for our electorate. And until that electorate is made first-class citizens, well, we won't be working on anything to do with that. You know, that's the way it is. So then I wonder, I just wonder, is Arlene Foster, does she not want to destroy her own opportunities? Is she putting herself before the country? Is she putting herself before British unionism? Is she putting herself before Northern Ireland's place in the United Kingdom? Because she really does need to make this meaningful, proactive protest, but yet she won't. She won't. Does she not want to destroy her getting into the Lords? You know, Baroness Foster. Is this what she wants to do? And sure, she says that she was moving. After she destroys Northern Ireland, she'd be moving off. You know, it beggars belief. It really, really does. And then if you're like me, and if you tell, you know, if you point out what is going on and where it's going on, and what these people aren't doing, well, you see, seemingly right now, you will be removed from social media. You will have your voice silenced. You know, they've been messing about with me for weeks now, And what for? Because, you know, I'll use a quote from Orwell. I've used it many times. In times of universal deceit, telling the truth will be a revolutionary act. And these are times of universal deceit. They're all deceiving us. They're all, you know, I'm talking about your own political party that is meant to be representing you right now. And I'm aiming at the DUP, because the UUP, I mean, they're irrelevant right now. They are totally irrelevant. And, you know, they'll just go on destroying themselves. They're nothing to be worried about, that party. It's the DUP that need to do this. And if they don't, well, I will be holding them completely responsible for the wrecking and the ruining of Northern Ireland. And on our centenary year, in the year of our centenary, this is what they're doing. And they're holding up this cesspit of corruption, when it is that cesspit of corruption which is doing us the most harm. And anyone that says that it's not doing us harm right now, well, they need their head looked at. And anyone in a place of power that wants to hold on to Stormont, well, that's because it's delivering for them. You know, that's because it's giving them the tools to destabilise Northern Ireland. I mean, there needs to be a redraw. There needs to be a complete redraw of everything. And we need to have a society which respects everyone, which respects British unionists as well as you know, nationalists or Republicans. We really need to get back to basics, so we do. And then there's there's a lot of protests tonight. Already we see people going to court last week, and I blame the DUP for that too. I blame the DUP. Because of the failure of the DUP to do the right thing, because of the failure of the DUP to be nipping things in the bud whenever they could have nipped things in the bud. I mean, they let things fester. I mean, we all seen it. It didn't matter what Republicans done. The DUP wouldn't stand up against them, and it was becoming almost embarrassing to see it happening on a daily basis. And because that they let it go and go and go, well, Republicans become emboldened, and they just, you know, they continue to bring a problem a day. And here we are finding ourselves. And I never thought that we ever find ourselves in this position in Northern Ireland in my lifetime. That here we are yet again. Northern Ireland could end up turning in on itself. You know, going back to the bad old days. And that is so sad that this is where politicians have allowed us to be taken. So I don't know where we go from here. I really don't know where it is that we go from here. I mean, we'll see that there'll be the protests. We'll see the police probably becoming heavy-handed. And imagine right now, here's something else to think about, is that if you were one of those PSNI officers, out doing the job, being told what it is that you have to do, being ordered into place to do whatever it is that the corruption is pushing right now. And then what for those PSNI officers having to stand on the front line and take a battering, from all sides as a result of, again, the failure of politics, the total failure of politics. I mean, what do they think? Do they think that you can build a society which is based on stability, whereby by enhancing one at the expense of another, by enhancing one whilst you demonize and you diminish others? And the media, let's look at them also. I mean, I seen the media today where David Minari and that other guy they were holding a banner down at 40 Linnenhall Street. And you see the media frenzy all around them. And, I sat and I listened to the BBC guy talking to one of the people who were protesting. And it was as if that it was all wrong, that he shouldn't be there, that he shouldn't be angry after having had his democracy taken away. I don't know. I don't know where that it is that we go, people. On Wednesday evening, we have a man on our screen from the Donegal Road area, and he's coming to tell us all about the Boyne Bridge. He's coming to tell us all about, again, there's a part of our history which is in danger of being flattened and in danger of being taken away. And, so we'll have a man on our screen to talk about that on Wednesday evening. And we're talking to lots of other people, people from England and people also from Ireland right now that have more in line with British Unionists than they do with their own government, than they do with Republican Sinn Féin right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be bringing more of those people here to let you hear how people are being treated in the Republic of Ireland, and we'll let that serve as a reminder that we don't want to go there, that we want nothing to do with their new Ireland in whatever way that they dress it up, and most especially, we want absolutely nothing to do with their so-called new Ireland when we form part of the 17.4 plus million people who voted to leave the EU. So why should we be any part of the EU? We won the vote. Democracy dictated that we won the vote and that we really should be leaving. So we shouldn't be accepting anything, and I mean anything, and not, let alone, imagine a border poll coming along. How do you think people would feel then? It's crazy the way that things have happened. And all you can do is just look at your own politicians and look at them for the idiots that they really are. They're doing nothing, but look, they're totally exposed. Everyone sees what is happening. And I believe that things will become so unpalatable for the DUP that they'll have to make a meaningful, proactive protest. And the unfortunate thing is that will people ever trust them again? That's a real question. Will they be trusted? Well, I don't know. People, leave some messages on the live chat. If there's anything that you want to talk about, we're coming to the top of the hour. If there's anything that you want to talk about, if there's anything you want to discuss, if there's any questions that you want to ask, type them into the live chat and we can pop them on the screen, and we can certainly deal with, tell us what you feel. Tell us how you feel. Tell us, do you think that the DUP are doing a good job? Do you think that the DUP should walk away from the House on the Hill? Do you think that the DUP should suspend all workings and with everything that flows from the Belfast Agreement until British Unionists are treated as first-class citizens. You know, we heard it at the weekend. We heard a PSNI officer on the Nolan show on Friday, and we've seen the newspaper clippings. I think Alison Morris had wrote also about it, where they were saying that there was a purge of people from social media. And we heard the PSNI talk about that they have the ability to go to the social media channels, the platforms, and say, look, we don't like what that man's saying. We don't like Restore UK. We don't like John Yates here for what it is that he's saying, because he's pointing out the absolute fact. And then what they can do is they can have me removed from social media. You know, where are we living? Are we living in North Korea, not Northern Ireland? Should a police force ever have the ability to do that whenever all someone is doing is pointing out the fact? All someone is doing is holding his politicians to account. All someone is doing is pointing out the corruption where that it exists, because right now there is an awful lot of corruption. So again, if you populate the live chat there with some questions or some views, what we'll do is we'll come back after the break here, and we'll start going through the live chat, and we'll start addressing what it is that you're talking about in the live chat. So again, what I want to do is I'll just play a little song here. So bear with me for a second. Do you find one? Here we go.
Well, I walked towards the old town hall with a group of my mates by my side. Well, to join up the Ulster division. Well, they knew I was young, but I lied. But arriving in Europe, well, it hit me the reality of what I would do. I would clamor all the trench ladder when the captain his whistle he blew. Well, tonight as I lie in my dugout, well, I'm cold and encased in the mud. Well, I long to be with you, my darling. Well, to hold you and to warm up my blood. We would walk hand in hand through old Belfast, through the streets that I love, Sandy Road. But I know that this will never happen, for tomorrow to the battle I'll go. Yes, remember I'll always will love you. Tell my mom, my dad just the same. Well, I'm afraid like the lads here beside me, London, France, I will surely remain. Well, I'll fight and I'll die for old Ulster, for the England and the red, white and blue. Don't disturb me, lads, I am writing to my girl back in Belfast, so true. Well, she broke her wee heart when I left her. Well, my Ulster, I'll do this for you. So I bid you good night now, my darling, for it's dark and I can't seem to write. Yes, remember the Ulster division, for the Ulster will always be right. Yes, remember the division. Oh, the Ulster will always be right.
So I'm just going to pop this one up on the screen, and I know a bit about this little case here. I mean, this man got 11 days in jail for the same thing Michelle O'Neill got off with, no charge. And he's saying that he wasn't the Sinn Féin. You weren't Sinn Féin, so I am guilty by a barrister. So I am guilty by a barrister. Anyway, look, I understand. I know that he got 11 days. I think it was in Magabry that they took him to, or it might have been somewhere else. But there you go. And yet Sinn Féin, Michelle O'Neill, they can bring 2,000 people out onto the streets of West Belfast. And the PSNI, I mean, they facilitated that. So, I mean, that is a clear-cut case whereby that people are being treated differently. So why did this man get the 11 days in prison? Well, I'll tell you why, is that they were holding a vigil at the Belfast City Hall. I remember seeing it on social media. And when they were holding the vigil, it was for suicide, people that had committed suicide. And from my recollection, they were doing the socially distancing thing and everything that went with it. And yeah, they came along and they arrested this man, and he got 11 days in jail. So there you go. I mean, that's the type of things that are happening in our country right now. This cesspit of corruption, and it really, really needs to be rectified. It really, really needs to be stopped. So again, I just want to again, there's Heather Kennedy Ramsey here. I will never accept being part of Ireland. Why should we, Heather? Why should we? Because, you know, we voted to leave the EU, and Ireland is the EU right now. Ireland is only a vassal of the EU. Ireland, I mean, their own Taoiseach, he had said that he wants nothing to do with the backward idea of sovereignty. In other words, that people don't matter. It's dictatorship that man's into. Micheál Martin, they call him, yeah. And if you listen to some people from the Republic of Ireland about what it is that they have in power right now, you know, they're words that are not fit to be broadcast on social media platforms just like this. So again, I'm saying is that, you know, I'll stay on social media for as long as that I can. But they you know, if you've got a British Unionist voice right now, and if you want to stand up for your community, and if you want to point out the corruption from the House on the Hill, if you want to point out that it's I mean, Stormont is being occupied by the biggest criminal gang in Europe that have a private army which murdered people just a few years back there in 2015, you know. This is what's happening. And then we had Mary Lou McDonald just a few weeks ago there, where she said that Bobby Story was their leader. What was she talking about? Was he the main man on the IRA Army Council, which the PSN, I have told us many times that they still exist and they still manipulate and steer what it is that Sinn Féin do. So here we have a terrorist organisation with their hands on the levers of power within that cesspit of corruption just off the Upper Newton Arch Road. You know, that great white elephant on the hill. Is it any wonder? That we have corruption? And our DUP are keeping it floating. They're keeping it going. So now, where do we say we are a monarchy democracy opposed to the republic? We can't accept being swallowed up by there. Well, now again, there's something else there from Smith Harbour, which is true. You know, we are a monarchy, right? Diametrically opposed diametrically opposite to a republic. We cannot accept being swallowed up by the Republic of Ireland, which is a very, very good point, Smith. And you're absolutely right. And I really hope I never see a United Ireland. And there's Grace Curry. Nice to see you, Grace. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And do you know something, Grace? Have you ever seen a so-called United Ireland? It's not going to be what they think is a United Ireland. Everybody's being swindled. We're being swindled. The Republicans are swindling their own base right now, and they're telling them that they're going to be in this new Ireland. But I'm going to say something. It's not certainly not the type of United Ireland that they would have envisaged, because right now in the Republic of Ireland, you're not allowed to be Irish. As I say, you're being called far right and fascist. So, yeah, we're being pushed in this way, and there's more. Our DUP know more than they're actually telling us. And you make no mistake, the hierarchy of the DUP actually do. I'm absolutely sure of that. That Arlene isn't telling us the whole truth. So here we go again. I'll just pop up another one here from Neil Hanna. Sadly, anyone who doesn't fit the respective political narrative, the BNP once had 1 million votes in the UK election. They're now banned from Facebook. Yeah, there you go. So look, again, I don't support the BNP. I have to say, you know, there's been certain things that has been said by that guy. I think Nick Griffin is his name. And you know, yeah, I'm just saying is that if you were aligned with that man, you wouldn't be. You definitely wouldn't have a voice. Is the truth. But here we go, down through again. There's Jim Verner. Bobby was chief of staff. That's the main man who selects the Army Council and who controls Sinn Féin. You see, I'm gonna point out something here, Jim. Whilst you say that, is that Jerry Adams, I remember Bobby's story in West Belfast, whenever Jerry Adams had been lifted over the murder, the kidnapping and the disappearance of Jean McConville. I remember that Bobby's story stood on a platform in West Belfast and he was shouting, how dare they arrest the leader of republicanism? Was Jerry the main man in the IRA Army Council at the time? You know? Who knows? I'm only saying what Bobby's story had said, and that's there. That's there. He says that he was the leader of the Republican movement. Now, the Republican movement encompasses all different parts to it. That would be from the IRA, the Sinn Féin political machine. They're all inextricably linked, of course. That would be their so-called human rights lawyers. That would be the whole lot. And if Jerry was the leader, well, then he led the whole thing, and we can't pick and choose where he wasn't the leader over the murder machine, if that's what Bobby's story actually said, and that's what he did say. And then we had Mary Lou McDonald just a few days ago, was actually at his funeral let me just see. I'm looking for the actual statement of Mary Lou when she said that Mary Lou saying good, PSNA planned the funeral. Now, let me just see, have I got this? Oh, I'm going to play this. I don't know whether this is the clip or not, but I want to see can we get Mary Lou saying this.
We're here, we're broken-hearted, saying a farewell to our leader. A Republican icon, a Republican hero, a man of principle, a man of action, a great Belfast Republican, a great Irish Republican, Bobby Story.
So there you go. Whilst we are told that Mary Lou is the leader of Sinn Féin and that the IRA has gone away, well, there's Mary Lou telling you something different, that Bobby Story was Mary Lou's leader. And then when you hear the police assessments telling you that the IRA Army Council still exists and they still manipulate and they still they strategize for Sinn Féin. That's what they do. So there you go. So that's what we've got. We've got total corruption. We've got terrorists in government. We've got a house on the hill, which is a cesspit of corruption, and we've got a Belfast Agreement which doesn't deliver for British Unionists in Northern Ireland, but it does for everyone else. So again, the people, we're going to have to call a spade here, is that we are not being treated very, very fairly, and our own political leaders are not doing anything about it. And is it any wonder that there are people out protesting right now? That's all I'm saying. Is it any wonder? Because whenever politics has failed, this is what you get. You get people taking things. You know, if the politicians aren't going to do it, well, people have come to the point whereby that they're standing up, and they're standing up, and they're going and they're doing it for themselves. So you mentioned Zollie's Mass, right? Okay, some things that I can put up, and some things that I can't put up. I'm just looking through the live chat here. I'm going to go back in the live chat. Did you ever go back to the Irish House? Right. Okay. Barbara, do you know what I'm going to do? In the next few days, I'm going to read you a letter that was posted there. Okay. So I'm going to read the letter within the next few days. What it is that it's somewhere where I can't access because I'm on the screen right now. So what I will do is I'll come back and I'll read the letter that went to Simon Coveney. So here we go. Don't even say United Ireland. It implies we are part of Ireland. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Heather. And look, it's not going to be United Ireland. It's, you know, I'm just saying to you is that they're talking about this thing called the New Ireland, and the New Ireland. Yeah, try forcing all these angry people, angry British Unionists, somewhere against their will. It's not going to end well. I know that it's not going to end well. And I don't know if some people don't realise that a lot of people hold very, very dear to their British nationality, to their culture, to their history, to their heritage, and all of those things. And yeah, all I'm saying is that they're creating instability here in Northern Ireland right now. They really are. And I often wonder, are they doing it for I mean, there's instability right around the world as a result of whether it be lockdowns and different things that's happening, but there's a lot of instability. But I often wonder, you know, is this a strategy to draw people out so that they can then impose maybe martial law and do what they want anyway? So this is why we need to keep our own politicians behind the eight ball. This is why we need to insist that our politicians do things in a way that we are not treated like second-class citizens. So again, I'm just going down through some of the live chat. Betrayed by traitors who think we are stupid enough to not to know they are traitors and sitting in the graves of every sort. Well, there you go. There's one there for you. Betrayed by traitors who think we are stupid enough to not know they are traitors and spitting on the graves of every soldier who fell here. Look, and Eddie, that's something that is very, very dear to my heart. And why is it dear to my heart is because I'm not talking about the traitors, but certainly that the veterans were betrayed by the politicians. Traitors, that's what they are. You know, they scapegoated a lot of those veterans. And they're allowing those veterans, you know, whilst IRA terrorists has immunity from prosecution, whilst they have Queen's pardon letters, whilst they can say and do what they want, whilst they have a hierarchy of rights. Well, those people who came here to stand between warring factions, trying to ensure that there was a sense of normality here in Northern Ireland, putting their lives in danger. Well, there's a lot of those people being treated, as I say, scapegoated in their old age. And how sick is that? How sick is that that's what an establishment would do on their own veterans? It's unbelievable. It really, really is. So again, I'm just going down through the live chat here looking for John, the Unionist parties have let us down. Instead, they argue Sinn Féin will become the largest, right? Pop that up. So, John, the Unionist parties have let us down. Instead of unity, they just argue Sinn Féin will become the largest party in 22 because the Unionist political representatives are just interested in lining their own pockets. And I don't think they care anymore. I really don't think they care. I think that they want to get their day in, and they want to sort of, you know, use the odd soundbite, and they want to keep, you know, pally with everybody, and they won't actually do the right thing. They won't do the right thing, and that saddens me to see that. That really does. And, you know, anybody loses their lives. Anybody goes to jail. Any loss of property, any injury to person, any setback of reconciliation between people, any creating a tinderbox here in Northern Ireland. Well, that is because of the failure of politics, and that is because that our own DUP, well, they let this fester, they let this happen. They didn't stand up against it. Remember, Arlene says that you can't feed the crocodiles because they keep coming back for more. Well, right now, the crocodiles are having an absolute feast. And I'll be watching to see, does anyone from the DUP turn up at the North-South institutions within the next few days? Because that could happen, that could happen. And all the DUP are doing is destroying this place. And again, it saddens me to see that happening. The media and Sinn Féin keep saying the protests are all about drug dealers. Yeah. You see, that's, again, do you know what that's the media and Sinn Féin keep saying the protests are all about criminal gangs, is how it was being said, Heather. The criminal gangs, and all these young people were being coerced. Right? They were under the coercive control of criminal drugs gangs, is what they were saying. The biggest criminal gang that ever in Western Europe is sitting in power right now in Stormont. Yeah, and again, we have to make it very, very clear that we don't do drugs, that we don't, we wouldn't side with drug dealers or anybody that's selling those things into communities and destroying people's lives with drugs. I mean, personally speaking, I'm totally against all of that, as is any right-minded individual. But yeah, this is, and they do that. The reason why the media are painting it as if it is criminal gangs, it is manipulating all this. That's to stop ordinary decent people from going to the protests. This is what they do to try to stop people from standing together and protesting in a meaningful, proactive way. And they've learned that trade very, very well, and they continue to do that regularly. So this is Catherine Russell. I've said it before, and I say it again, direct rule. Again, the problem with direct rule right now is that when you have Boris and when you have the likes of Gove in power, and they would just do whatever they wanted, and everything would be implemented over our head. So I think that the DUP need to be strategic in what they do. They need to suspend, quote unquote, suspend all workings from within the Belfast Agreement and anything that flows from it until such times as we are treated as first-class citizens. So that's what the DUP need to do. They need to suspend, because we can't have a scenario right now whereby that the British government will just do whatever it is that they want on us. Thoughts on the TUV, John? Can't stand the DUP now. Yeah, Colin, I think what will happen is a lot of people will go off and they'll vote for the TUV. And the reason why they will is because the UUP, they don't represent your best interest. They want to be part of the Union, but they want to be part of the European Union. And, with regards, the TUV, they have a lot of, people there that are going to be standing in the next election. So I would say watch the TUV with a hawk-like eye. Right now, who do we have? We can't return to DUP again because they do what they want. They don't care. They look after themselves. We had a scenario there just in last week where it's now coming out that the man in charge, he's the Speaker of the House, Alex Maskey, and he was promoting for people to go to the Bobby Story funeral. It just come out on his social media. So he was promoting for people to go to the funeral, and yet he's meant to uphold the rules of the House. He should be away. There should be a vote of no confidence against him, and he should be thrown out of that job right away, as should Michelle O'Neill for her ministerial code also say, because I've read this I went and I read the ministerial code, and it says, I think it's Article F in the ministerial code, where it really says that all ministers have to uphold all things that come from the institutions, and that would be included in that would be COVID regulations. So she broke the ministerial code, and there should be a vote of no confidence against her And also there was other people there. Conor Murphy was another man. Should be a vote of no confidence against him. But our DUP, they're allowing them to stay in place. And, well, would Sinn Féin do that if it was the other way around? No, they would not indeed. So the longer Stormont goes on, remember this, we'll just recap because we have about 12 minutes left here. So we're going to recap. The longer that Stormont goes on, the more the trade is being reorientated away from the United Kingdom market. And the more that this protocol beds in, the harder it'll be to get actually dislodged and out of place. And I'm aware that there are a few court cases, but the DUP need to be making the only meaningful proactive protest that's available to them right now. And I never forgive the DUP if things go the way that they're heading right now. And it's not that Sinn Féin or the Alliance Party or any of these people that want to see the destruction of the United Kingdom and wanted to see the destruction of Northern Ireland. It's not that they're winning. It's not that they're clever in their strategy. It's that the British government have handed it to them on a plate by putting that protocol in place and also by putting the border in the North Channel. So you've got to ask yourself a question: why? Why did our own British government do that? It's not a nice place to be. So let's just go back down again to the end of the chat. So here we go again. I'm going to pop something up again here, and again I'm going to say to people, if anyone can help us, there's a little link in the live chat. Now I'll just pop it up here. All right, there's a little link there, and then I'm going to pop up again. Now I know that a lot of people has bought the little badges, the little Restore UK badges, where it says no Irish Sea border, Restore UK, and I think it says that Ulster or Northern Ireland is British. So again, I'll pop up a picture of the little badges for people to see. And I know a lot of people has bought the badges, and there's also some badges to be delivered to one lady, and we'll get that underway within the next few days. That's a definite. So again, I'm looking for a picture of the badges. Here we go. So if any of you would like to help us out by buying one of those little badges, you can do so. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get a link to that. Oh, a link to that now. Sorry, people, I've just popped something up on my screen here. So just bear with me. I'm just getting the link to this little badge. So copied. Right, okay, back into there again. Hi. Bear with me, get back to here, take that off. And I'm just going to pop up a link in the live chat now, in the comments. Paste. There we go. So, and this is the little link for if anybody wants to buy one of those badges, they can do through the store there at Ko-fi.com. So, people, thanks very much for coming along yet again. And I've noticed that the numbers are getting bigger. There's more and more people that's coming to this platform, and it's shared across. I mean, with the help of the people that are here. Yes, Grace, that's the link for the badges. You just click on it, and you can buy one of those little badges. Again, I'll pop it up again on our screen. Just bear with me. There's the badges there. They're little metal badges. They're really, really tasty, to say the least. There's one there, just on me there. So they're a nice wee badge, and I believe that everyone should be wearing one of those badges. It's a little protest badge. So I'm back again to the live chat. So where was I? Yes, Eddie, thanks very much again. I will give you a shout, and thank you very much for saying that it was a good show. But look, we came along tonight, and we did title this. We titled this "Respective Fools and Their Way of Life Will Soon Be Parted," and the respective fools are our own DUP leader and Michelle O'Neill and the Republican movement, because those both sets of people are leading their respective peoples into a place whereby that they're going to lose everything that they've ever held so dear. And I'm just saying, as a British Unionist, British Unionism means a lot to people here in Northern Ireland. You know, our links with the United Kingdom means a lot to, you know, a lot of people here in Northern Ireland. And our British unionism means no one any harm. You know, if you're a nationalist, an ordinary live and let live type person, if you're a Catholic, you know, we mean you no harm. We can share this place, but Sinn Féin continue to agitate against us. They continue to agitate and cause problems and stir things up in a way that they think that they're going to win. They think that they're going to get what they want. But I'm appealing to ordinary nationalists and Catholics also right now, is that you people are being led to a place whereby that yous are being swindled too, the same way that British unionists are. So again, respective fools under the way of life they claim to represent will soon be parted. That's if they don't get up with their backsides. I'm talking about Arlene Foster here. If she doesn't get up with her backside and make a meaningful, proactive protest. So again, I'm just going to pop through with a few wee badges or a few wee comments here before I go. Who is going to do something? Barbara, I can't say who it was, right? I can't say who it was because it came to me. You know, I would be breaking confidence to do this here, but I did hear a whimper of it, and I can't talk about it. But I'm expecting it at any point now. And if it doesn't happen, you know, I still can't say too much about it because the information came to me, and if I talked about it, I'll not get any more information. Just suffice to say that there was a high-ranking DUP member in the last few weeks that was thinking of walking away from the party. And I can say that without fear of contradiction. So yeah, so that's that. And I look forward to your show. Thanks very much, Jackie. Thank you. Good to see you. You're a lady from Glasgow here. And again, Tracy Johnston, thanks very much for coming along. I mean, we're coming to a close. We're going to play us out here with, again, The Dark 11th Hour. We're going to play that. That's that poem that you would think that it was written for today. And it says that a war has been declared on every peaceful home. And that's no matter where that home is. That's no matter where that home is in the British unionist side of this divide in Northern Ireland, or that's if you're an ordinary Catholic or an ordinary nationalist who is a live and let live type person and who doesn't want any truck with all this psychological terrorism that's going on and all this destabilizing from people within the Republican movement. And also, let's look at the Alliance Party. This Alliance Party, they you know, every time I hear them right now, they're all trying to cajole and push and eke and edge the DUP into doing these north-south ministerial meetings. But they're doing so that British unionists will turn against the DUP. So the DUP are right between a rock and a hard place right now. And we need to keep the pressure up on them. And it's our right in a democracy to do this. And I don't buy into this nonsense from, you know, the policeman that was on the Nolan show last week saying that if he doesn't like what people are saying, he can have them removed off social media. Well, that is the PSNI overstepping the mark. That is them going beyond their remit, and that is them interfering in democracy, because in a democracy, you have the absolute right to hold your politicians to account. The absolute right, and don't let anyone tell you that you haven't. So there we go. Scroll up the posts. So I will there, Isabel. Wait, I would just say, I don't know who you're talking to. So I'm just looking again. Oh, got your badge today. Brilliant. I hope you liked it. Brilliant. So where do we see? I'm looking again down through. Not the same benefits there. I'm down south. Isabel Gomery to. It's a beautiful poem. Don't get me started on Alliance. we know that. We definitely know that. Thanks very much, Kyle. Thank you for coming along. And yeah, well, here we go. There's a lot of charges that could be laid on to the PSN. But I do see, I mean, I look at the PSNI right now. I look at the ordinary rank and file members of the PSNI, and my heart goes out to them. You know, I'm talking about the ordinary decent guys and girls that are only there to do a job. But they're being used by their hierarchy right now. They're being used in a way in which they are seen as one-sided. And that is just very unfortunate, the way things are going. I mean, the PSNI, they were set up to be fair, impartial, and free from partisan political control, capable of gaining and maintaining the respect of the entire community. And right now, they are not they're not living up to the fairness and the impartiality that they should have taken forward from the patent recommendations and implemented them in a way that they were always part of everything that they do. So again, thank you very much for coming along, everyone. We're going to play us out with a couple of patriotic songs. Well, first and foremost, the poem, The Dark 11th Hour. And I have to continue to play that because it's a very, very powerful poem, and it literally states quite clearly with reference to where it is that we find ourselves here in 2021. So thanks very much, Jean. Thank you. And again, come along on Wednesday evening. We're going to have a man here, and we're going to be talking about the Boyne Bridge. And you'll get all the details of the Boyne Bridge and what it is that some people from within the Sandy Row village area are doing right now in order to try and save that part of our history and our heritage. So, and again, it's going to be a good show. I've talked to the man, and he's a good guy. So please do donate about housing. Yes, Isabel, very good. I think we will do that. I think if I talk to some people up there, I think that we could actually do a proper show about that, and we could also maybe go up and video the wastelands that are lying around, and we could show the difference between, say, for example, the Falls Road and the Shankill Road, and how the Shankill Road has been totally run down, in my honest opinion, totally run down. But that's probably a good idea, Isabel. So it is the greatest appeaser in the history of our country. There you go. The problem is the PSNI is being led by the greatest appeaser in the history of our country right now. I would agree with that. Good night, everyone. Stay strong. Good night, John. The truth will set us all free. You're absolutely right, Smith. You're absolutely right. And it needs to be done. Yes, Stephen, you are. It does need to be done. I think you're talking about the housing and how that the areas are being run down. So, people, thanks very much for coming along. And what I'm going to do right now is that we're going to go and we're going to start by playing this out with the Dark 11th Hour. So if you leave some messages on the live chat, I mean, just leave your messages. If you think the show's good, if you think the show needs tweaked in any way, if you think we need to be doing other things, if we think that we should lay off the DUP, or if we should keep the pressure on the DUP, tell us what you think. And as we play ourselves out, what we'll do is we'll pop some of those messages up on the screen as we play us out with first and foremost a poem, and then two patriotic songs that we play regularly. So here we go. Thanks very much for coming along, and I'll see you all on Wednesday evening. Thank you.
The dark 11th hour draws on and sees us sold to every evil power we fought against of old. Rebellion, rapine, hate, oppression, wrong and greed are loosened to rule our fate by England's act and deed. The faith in which we stand, the laws we made and guard, our honour, lives and land are given for reward. To murder done by night, to treason taught by day, to folly, sloth and spite, and we are thrust away. The blood our fathers spilt, our love, our toils, our pains, are counted us for guilt and only bind our chains. Before an empire's eyes, the traitor claims his price. What need of further lies? We are the sacrifice. We ask no more than leave to reap where we had sown, through good and ill to cleave to our own flag and throne. Now England's shot and steel beneath that flag must show how loyal hearts should kneel to England's oldest foe. We know the wars prepared on every peaceful home. We know the hells declared for such as served not Rome. The terror, threats and dread in market, hearth and field. We know when all is said, we perish if we yield. Believe we dare not boast. Believe we do not fear. We stand to pay the cost in all that men hold dear. What answer from the north? One law, one land, one throne. If England drives us forth, we shall not fall alone.
Just across the Irish Sea stirs a heart of loyalty, raising honor and indignity, drives a will to keep us British free. Not alone are we on this journey, we're in a land just across the sea. It's a hand that reaches out of friendship, and a bond that's lasted centuries. And its hands cross the water, reaching out for you and me, for Queen Ulster and for Scotland, help to keep our loyal people free. Let the cry be no surrender, let no one doubt our loyalty, reaching out to the brave red hand of Ulster is the hand across the sea. Cross the water, reaching out for you and me, for Queen and Ulster and for Scotland, help to keep our loyal people free. Let the cry be no surrender, let no one doubt our loyalty, reaching out to the brave red hand of Ulster is a hand across the sea. Just across the Irish Sea stirs a heart of loyalty, raising honor and dignity, drive the will to keep us British free. Not alone, we on this journey, for in a land just across the sea, it's a hand that reaches out in friendship, is the hand across the sea, is the hand across the sea, is the hand